so many sacks and so much penetration?
Yeah, we just got to be better, really, at every level. Up front, it's technique, some fundamental stuff, some just execution of what we're doing, but it goes beyond just up front. It's really every position in the pass game right now. We didn't play good on Thursday. And, that's what we're talking about right now. We're fired up for the challenge this week, and we're ready to go full speed ahead in the regular season and address the things that have come up. The reality is, for us, when we look back at the game, like I said, we didn't play very good. You can still win the NFL when you're not playing your best, and what got us is situational football. Red zone, we were 1 for 4. I think we crossed the 40 maybe 6 times and had 1 touchdown. Third down, we weren't good. Early in the year, we were number 1 in red zone, and we were really good on third down, and we've really fallen off the last 5 weeks. So we've kind of honed in on ourselves, what we got to do to grow fundamentally, technique-wise. We're where we need to be. We just got to execute it better. And then beyond that, we have to own the situations. That's really in the second half of the NFL season. That's what it comes down to make the tournament.
What goes into execution? Because it seems like it's kind of the go-to execute, which kind of seems a little bit vague. What goes into execution?
Do your job and do it well.
How do you
the first half, I think you guys are averaging, I want to say 13-ish points. And the second half, you kind of tailed up to 9 points. What do you think is the biggest reason why you guys can start really well in the first half and then it kind of teeter off in the second half?
Yeah, I'd say it all is I bet you if you look at situational football, it's going to be very much the same. It's going to be in the first half we're good at situational football. In the second half we're not executing situational football well enough. There's no people like to think there's some secret sauce between the first half, the second half. There's all these adjustments that happen. Everybody makes adjustments. We've talked about it before. You have subtle things that happen within a game. There's not one thing a defense is doing in the second half that's different than what they do in the first half. We're not doing our job as well, and that's been an emphasis for us for 3 weeks, and we got to keep straining on that.
The last 3 weeks you just mentioned in your job, what have you changed over the last 3 weeks that you've adjusted?
A lot. Just how to put people in positions that we think can help them be successful. I think that we've honed in on what exactly we got to do going forward this last 8 weeks, and that's what we're going to do. Last week against the Jets defensively for us was probably the biggest challenge we had so far this year. Their defense was very good, and that challenge only increases this week against Detroit. So, out on it, you have to be in every regard, including me, from a coordinator standpoint. We got to get to the end fast.
What's the balance of faith that guys will do their job versus trying things that you haven't tried to this point to fix things?
Obviously everyone that's here, they're here because we believe in them. And that's from the top down, you know what I mean? From D'Amico all the way down to people in the support staff. So we're going to do everything we can as a coaching staff to help players. We're going to do everything we can. We're going to do everything we can as a coaching staff to help each other. And again, really where we're at, we have a very clear vision for what we're doing and where we're going. And we lost the game. That was one we know didn't go the way we wanted, and we had some ops in there that we didn't take advantage of. But at the end of the day, it's what is it now, an 18 game, 17 game, right? I'm skipping ahead, 17 game regular season, and you're going to have some ups and downs in that. And you just got to be able to keep pressing forward. So right now, our focus is one game at a time, do what we can to make the tournament.
Bobby, we know what type of quarterback CJ has been and what he can do as far as accuracy, as far as being able to manipulate the pocket and things like that. What have you seen these last couple of games? It looks like sometimes he's holding the ball too long. Sometimes it sounds like looks like he's hearing footsteps, maybe seeing ghosts because of the amount of pressure. What can you do to help relieve some of that?
We got to be better across the board. We got to be better up front. We got to be better in the backfield. We got to be better at receiver. We got to go back to the trust we built in OTAs and training camp.
When you look at the play action, is in terms of the way the defense having to respect what Joe Mixon's doing, is that something that you feel like can be incorporated more? Would you like to utilize that ideally?
I think we have one of the higher play action rates in the league, but it's definitely one of the things we believe in here, and we will continue to incorporate for sure.
Joe, he's been on a roll. What have you seen from the way he's running the ball, probably as well as anybody in the league?
He very much exemplifies what we believe as far as Texan mindset. You know, he plays fast, he's physical, he's tough, and he makes sure you know it and you see it every time he touches the rock and everything he does. That includes out in practice, how he approaches the meetings. You know, he goes about it the way everyone in the Texan organization should go about it.
CJ said he has to get back to having fun. As the offensive coordinator, what does that mean to you?
A lot of times in the NFL, you know, fun correlates to doing well. You know, so I mean, I know that's but it's just the reality, right? We all are blessed that we're able to be in a football organization and do what we do, and we never lose sight of that. I know CJ, just as much as me, is a man of faith and never lose sight of where he's at and how blessed we are to be here. But you know, when you know you're not performing across the board as good as you can, you know, it's never as fun as it could be. You know, so again, everything for us ties back to let's reattach to who we are. Let's reattach to what we've done really well for like 5 weeks over the course of the season that we kind of have, you know, lost a little touch with as we've went. Let's re-hone on that and reattach to it, and then let's just keep pressing forward.
Questions. I know Joe spoke, yeah, I guess it was yesterday, to you all. Did you feel like that had an effect that permeated throughout practice, his words to the offense? Then I got another one.
Yeah, he I mean, anytime Joe talks, everyone listens. You know, he's got a track record. You can see it in how he plays. You can see how much he cares. You can see the relationship he has with his fellow teammates. He's big. He's been to the big dance before, you know, so his words are really needed for everybody, and just understanding what it takes, understanding how hard it is, understanding even though sometimes you want to get too high or get too low, you can't. You got to find a way to stay as even keel as you can, and again, everything is one game at a time, and doing everything we can to get into the tournament.
Just one follow. You all were able to get Tank over 100 yards this time. What did you feel like was the difference in getting him more open and deeper passes versus previously?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we did anything different. You know, he took advantage of some matchups and some plays worked out where, you know, we'd given him plenty of opportunities in really the last 3-4 weeks. And sometimes, as I mentioned before, like you can't control the coverage. Coverage is dictated that we can't necessarily work it, and it worked out this past game where we were able to go utilize a matchup.
You all pretty consistently won the time of possession battle throughout this season on the other sideline. It's one of the, you know, I think the leading point scoring offense in the league. Just how important is it to, you know, kind of control the pace of this game on offense when, you know, you have your defense going up against a really potent offense?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. Like as far as how we're approaching this game, you know, I think the last time I said this was probably when we played Buffalo. A lot of this game, there is really no three units. It's just everybody working together in this one. You know, they're a really good team. I don't know. I feel like it's been probably 4 weeks since I've watched a game that I feel like is close for them. You know, I know last week got close at the end, but for a while they had a multi-score lead. Minnesota maybe was the last time they were really in a battle. And to be able, as a team, to handle that, because their offense is really good, their special teams are very good, their defense is really good. You know, you got to do it all together. So it's going to take, like, we have an approach as a team, how we're trying to attack this game, and we got to go implement it.
We have 2 more, guys. We talked to you about like certain play calls and stuff, and I've heard you and D'Amico, and I think I heard Casario the other day say, well, they didn't give us the look that we thought they would give us. What does that mean? Does that mean you're going to the line of scrimmage and you're not recognizing? Does it mean they're out-thinking you, you're under-thinking them? What does that mean?
That's a good question, because I do say that a lot, and I don't know if I've ever actually expanded upon it. So generally you go into a game, right, and you have a pretty good grasp of what a defense is going to do. Everybody, these days, there's a large volume, by and large, that most teams do, especially when you include pressures and things like that. But generally you go into a game trying to make sure that you're attacking what you believe they're going to do against you, right? Nobody just lines up, say you think it's going to be a man game, nobody just lines up and it's like, okay, we're going to play man 100% of the time. You know, that's just not really the NFL these days. So what typically happens is you have this this top thing that's on your mind, and then you have this subcategory of things that you got to have like answers for, be able to handle within your own play design, within the players going and executing their job and doing what they want to do. So when we say, for example, if I say I'm calling a play for Tank, I'm probably calling a play thinking that Tank is going to get the ball if we get the coverage we're expecting. If we don't get the coverage we're expecting, we have other answers on the field that our quarterback's going to get to. Or in the run game, I might call a zone play thinking we're going to get some certain look or certain front. And, man, we'll be able to get inside, downhill fast as we can. Well, all of a sudden they've stemmed their front, and now they got a whole lot of bodies inside the tackles. We either got to build in a can or we got to figure out a way where we can block and handle that where we're not going backwards. We're still getting 3 yards of carry. So it's really built into, like, it's a lot of preparation. It's how you build it into the game plan. It's not necessarily how you call it, if that makes sense. You just got to make sure you have answers for what is going to be presented to you as you go. And how that always comes together is what's fun about the game planning process, because every week is different. Even when you play division opponents and you play them the second time, like the combination of things or the people they have out there is different than it was the first time.
It's not just coach driven; it's player driven too. Like the players not getting the look, the coach, like there's a lot of layers to it.
Absolutely, yeah. No, that's why for us, like, practice is so important in what we do. You know, I mean, there's so, especially at the quarterback position. I mean, you talk about, I really believe it's the hardest thing to do in sports. The physical strain they have to deal with, the pocket they have to deal with, and the contact that they have to deal with that they aren't even ready for, on top of being able to throw, on top of the mental strain. And the mental strain for really everyone in the NFL at that position is immense. Like, there's a lot. So meeting time's important, preparation's important, every rep we get out in practice is important.
Last one here.
I mean, in retrospect, the Wildcat call, what was the thinking behind it, and why do you think it didn't work against that particular defense?
Yeah, as far as why it didn't work, DJ Reed did a really good job, man. I mean, we had some clips on tape going Wildcat against them where, you know, they were pretty ready to ignore the quarterback. He reacted to it just fast enough to make it a tight throw that would have required a perfect ball. The reason it was called was, as I said, like, we've been struggling in the red zone. We just need a spark. You know, we need a spark, and that's two guys I would bet a lot of money on that can find a way to make the play at the very least. Like, when you run trick plays, and I know I've run some, I've probably run somewhere around 12 over the last year and a half, and not all of them work. You know, that was a similar play call to when Motor scored here. This one didn't work. The big thing, and what allows you to keep going back to things like that, is just not making it a worse play. And Joe did that. We got an incompletion. We got the third down. Third down, we got the exact look we want. And we probably would have had a great opportunity to make something happen if we hold up front long enough. And that's kind of around the NFL, you know, like, we watch trick play edit every week across the NFL. And some of them you'd be shocked. You probably don't even realize, when you're watching on TV, that they were trying to trick play until you see the film and you realize it didn't work. But it's always nice to have those in the arsenal.
Thanks, Bobby. Thank you.
Appreciate it, guys.
Appointment here every day, every Thursday. Oh, no. What's up, John? What's up? No, please.
You guys giving up 19 touchdown passes. You gave up 17 last season. What's been the issue?
Oh, well, that's a good question. I didn't know that stat. I don't know. You know, obviously we gave up some explosives early in the season. I would say in general our red zone defense has to improve. Just overall, our red zone numbers haven't been where we want them. It's something we've kind of been emphasizing, I would say, over the last week or so. So I would start there. You know, I mean, never want to get down there, but once we get in the red zone, I think we just got to tighten up in general, run and pass down there. So, you know, at the end of the day, like, our job's to keep scoring down. So whatever you need to do that, we're trying to address those things. Check those stats, John. Got me one. I was unprepared for that.
Between Jared Goff and Josh St. Brown. What have you seen from those guys, the way they're performing, the amount of completions in a row, which is a pretty staggering number?
Yeah, just in general, obviously Goff's operating at a pretty efficient level. The offense is designed to get that ball out quick, and St. Brown operates really well in all those underneath zones, like really good, like probably one of the better I've seen at understanding man versus zone, when to sit down, when to keep taking it, like where the soft spots are. Like he's very, very good at finding just those kind of dead spots in your zone. So even if you're mixing coverages, like he's just got a good feel, and obviously the trust level and between those two is really high. So I think it's just a combination of all of that. I mean, the offensive scheme is kind of designed to operate efficiently. Goff's performing kind of in that system very well, and then St. Brown just has a really good understanding of getting open versus both man and zone, and so when you're operating like that, it's been pretty clean for them. They got a good connection for sure. What's that?
When a team plays like that, what is the counter?
Yeah, I mean, we just gotta, for us, everything starts with a rush, so hopefully we can affect the quarterback that way. But we've just got to be, one of our sort of themes this week is just kind of being convicted in what we're doing, and like playing our coverages and playing them the right way. And so like knowing like, hey, if we're in this coverage, this is where the quote soft spot is, and having, being able to break on those things. Or if we're playing man, like, hey, he's going to keep running, or we're going to have to cut this way or do those things. So really just trying to tighten up our coverage package to counteract some of the things that they're doing.
Last week against the Jets, it looked like that on certain plays they were trying to target Jalen as far as Petrie as far as coverage is concerned. And so on that 3rd and 3, when you all seen him matched up with Devontae Adams, was there any, caution to maybe calling the timeout and trying to switch it up?
I mean, this timeouts aren't my world, so I can't speak to that. But no, I mean, in any coverage, like there's the soft spots, there's strengths and weaknesses to what we're doing. We were trying to get some pressure there. It was, kind of fringe area. Frankly, we were like not concerned, but like there was a thought of there's a possible run situation. It was 3rd and 3, like in plus territory. Like could they run? So we wanted to have enough firm enough, front that if they did try to hand the ball off, so there's a lot of things going in. I mean, we trust Jalen to be, where he needs to be, and they got a lot of good receivers. They got 5 on the other side. They got a lot of stuff going on. So I don't think there was any thought about that.
Will going down early last week.
Yeah.
Pressure was hard to come by, and then I think you guys started to call a little bit more blitz, which was putting kind of the defensive backs in some one-on-one situations. Just what's the overall strain on the defense when you lose a guy like Will Anderson?
Yeah, well, I mean, ironically, right, he gets named Defensive Player of the Month that morning or whatever it is, and then obviously gets hurt early in the game. So anytime you lose a great player like Will, like that's going to affect some of the things you do. And obviously he had been performing at a high level for us. But I mean, really, like again, structurally, Danico ended up kind of coming on. We've been talking about that for a few weeks. Where like, hey, we wanted to kind of get some more out of him, and he started like rounding into form. So we got some pressure where we needed it. I wouldn't say that we strategically felt we needed to pressure more, like in the absence of Will. It was just part of like the flow of the game and how we were trying to get after things. So, but obviously, anytime you lose a guy like Will, it's going to affect how you do certain things. But I didn't think we felt like, oh shoot, we can't get there now, we have to pressure. It just sort of was in the flow of the plan.
We know how efficient Goff is. You talked about the wide receivers earlier, but what have you seen on film as far as that running game is concerned?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's a really good run game. I would say just from a personnel and structural standpoint, like it's the starting point for everything they do, in my opinion. They want to run the ball. Both those backs are good in slightly different ways, but really good. And then schematically, they do a really good job. I mean, it's a pretty varied system from a run scheme standpoint. Like they run a lot of different runs and couch it in a lot of different ways. And I really just think, I mean, the line's a good line. They come off the ball, they hit their spots, but I think both backs are really the engine behind that. They both make people miss. They both can break tackles. They can run. It's interesting, they each run all the runs. So it's not like, I know Gibbs has like sort of a reputation of being a more explosive sort of outside guy, and he's really good in the pass game, but they don't change like the runs they're running with each of those backs. They both can run outside. They both can run inside. They both can run gap schemes. So they do a really good job, and I think it's scheme and personnel driven. It's going to be a really good challenge for us this week. Excited for it.
When a
Sure.
team goes on fourth down as much as they do, sometimes you see the coach change his approach offensively on third down. Does your approach change at all when you know how aggressive they are?
Yeah, I mean, there's just, again, a little bit of awareness. Again, it's just sort of, say it's whatever. I would say really like once you get around midfield, plus territory, like logo area forward, just the, awareness of maybe you're not going to see the typical third down plays you would always see. Like it's 3rd and 5. In a general sense, you wouldn't necessarily be expecting run, but knowing, hey, if they gain 3 on a run and it's 4th and 2, they're going to feel good about going for it. Like you have to be prepared on that third down play to maybe see some plays that aren't really part of what you maybe normally would expect. Like,
That word of mouth with players, like, hey, just be aware that they might be throwing here, or do you just coach them the same?
yeah, no, I mean, there's an awareness. Like we always talk about that. Like, hey, what's a team's sort of fourth down strategy or aggressiveness in terms of when they're going for it, but also like our calls would reflect, like we can't get in some crazy fronts maybe that we maybe would want to. Some of our rush patterns that are like some wilder stuff. Like we have to be selective on when we're deploying some of those things. Like just they'll run the ball on 3rd and 7 in plus territory. You know what I mean? I mean, shoot, there was the playoff game against the Niners last year, right? Like there was 3rd and 12 at midfield, and they got into a load front, and they checked to a run, and it split them for a first down. So just awareness of those things of like some of our overloads and some things that maybe we would deploy on a normal third down. You just have to have some sense of maybe it's not a time to do that, or coach the players up like, hey, if we are in this and you feel something's off, like, hey, we got to be ready for a boot that you maybe wouldn't see on a normal third down. So there's stuff like that. You just have to be aware of when and where they're doing some of those things. Sure. That's it. Oh, you guys are easy, man. Let's go. All right, have a good one.
and good to refresh and get back for. Couldn't be more fired up for Sunday Night Football and the best special teams unit in the NFL, best team in the NFL coming into our place. I think I say this roundabout ways, but different coordinators are some of the top tier special teams coaches who play against and some of the best returners or whatever. This week, Dave Phipp is currently, without a shred of doubt, in my opinion, the best special teams coach in the NFL. He's the most creative. He's the most disciplined. He knows how to find a roster full of players. They're aggressive. They got the best returner going in the NFL, and Khalif Raymond. They got the highest paid special teams player in the NFL, and Jalen Reeves-Maybin, a familiar face around here as well. And they play the right way, and they nullify yards. The longest return that they've given up is 11 yards. So for having the best punter in the NFL, 11 yards is a pretty darn good coverage unit. So all 4 phases, aggressive, the coach, man, got our hands full. Can't wait to see what we can do.
Better unit than your unit?
We like to, whoever's coming into our house, we like to match whatever they bring. Good question.
Could you, with trick plays or going for it, or their special teams unit being the unit that goes for it on 4th down, how do you kind of prepare for that? 'Cause I'm sure they're not doing the same thing twice over the course of a season. Is it just keying on players or formations or things that they've changed, maybe off of what you look? How do you get ready for something like that?
Yeah, first and foremost, you have to know the situation. So the game within the game is knowing scoreboard, when they're more opportune to do that, down and distance, having your edge to your formation, and just your antenna's got to be up versus teams like this. Some guys are more conservative, some guys are more aggressive. When you go against either, you got to be smart, you got to be detailed in your alignment, you have to make sure you have your principles covered as far as how you would handle a broken formation, for example, so that they gave versus like Minnesota. But we have to know who the problem people are on their side of the line of scrimmage, and make sure that our checks and balances system is working.
Uncharacteristic game from Kaimi last week went into some of those misses.
Yeah, I think it's not a uncharacteristic in my opinion to not be perfect from beyond 55 yards. I think we've talked about this before, the percentage in kicks around the league. So we kind of came back down to planet Earth as an NFL on 50-yard kicks to start the first 3 weeks of the season. Everyone's losing their mind. Definitely more reality on that. And then anytime we go out there, he's got to be on the same same operation speed, the same schedule, and that leads to a short miss, which is that one's the one that stings, and got to get that cleaned up.
You're big on energy in general. I think I heard you a couple days earlier, kind of saying something in the hallways. But do you feel like this week you all have picked up that energy as a team?
Talking about my screaming?
Yeah.
I guess I try to be an Energizer bunny in life. My old man told me, don't worry about anybody else around you. You just keep moving. And, so I think that's just probably a little bit of my nature. But, I don't think NFL football players should have to get up for any certain type of game. It is exciting when the stakes are higher, but, man, this league is so humbling. It is like, Wednesday and Thursday afternoon on the grass when nobody's watching is your day job. But every single Sunday you got to show up. It doesn't matter if you're a team that's 0 and whatever, or you're undefeated, or you're playing a team that's 0 and whatever, and they're undefeated. Like it's just every week you have to bring it. So I just try and live the same way, and I think the Texans match that regularly.
Is Sunday Night Football hard for you, Dan? You strike me as a guy who wants to get up at like 6 and
I'm getting up. I got 3 to 4 humans in my bed every single night. Lucia, let's see, we had Lucia. When we sent her back up, and then Josie and Celia both ended up in our bed. So I mean, I'm up regardless. I'm in that season of life, brother. So.
You got anxious though for the 7:30 start?
Definitely.
Back and forth for 2
yeah,
hours?
I'll do some yard work or something to keep myself, sane. Go to church, but.
You're out there mowing the lawn?
No, I don't mow. I'll do. My wife, when we moved here, she made me sell that, and I just do the landscaping now. I just do the rake and the pulling the weeds and stuff. Yeah, she says if I come home on a Friday and got to cut the grass, that's family time. So, yeah. Anybody else?
With someone that you pride yourself on the energy you bring, like you bring it in here, you bring it out there. When CJ says he wants to have more fun, do you do anything different or try to bring that energy or fun to him, or are you not?
Talking about CJ Stroud, our quarterback?
Yeah, CJ said he's just not they got to have more fun. They got to enjoy themselves a little bit more? Like for someone that brings that juice all the time,
Shoot.
like
Yeah,
what's up?
I understand the question. I mean, you probably have to talk to him about fun. I mean, they were just throwing their individual post practice today. I thought that was the funnest thing on planet Earth, you know. So, football's fun, you know. It's a game. We're lucky to do what we do. I don't think that anybody's out there angry, but I know one thing is the most fun, and that's winning. And maybe that's what everybody's, you know, has a little bit more thirst for this week to get back on the winning side of things. That's good. Okay, guys.